Hello, my name is Billy Bob, and today I'm going to tell you about a story. How me and Ted got sucked into a book. It'll make sense more once I get to the part of the book, okay? So this story starts about 2 years ago in front of an antique shop, alright? I was walking Ted down the sidewalk around 6 p.m. Ted's my fish, by the way, if you don't know, because I never talk about Ted. Because Ted, he's kind of become introverted. I don't know why. But anyways, I was walking Ted down the sidewalk, and he saw an antique shop. So Ted points at that antique shop with his fish fingers. I don't know why he has fingers if he's a fish. And he says, "Look, Billy, it's an antique shop." And I looked at it and I go, "Oh, my sweet butt cheeks. It's an antique shop." So I say, "Come on, Ted, let's go inside." And Ted said, "Billy Bob, I don't think that's a good idea." And I said, "Oh, shut up, Ted, before I throw you in the blender." So anyways, we go inside and we enter the antique shop. And the first thing I see when I enter this antique shop is a leather-bound book. Nobody's in this antique shop except the leather-bound book. A bunch of other stuff, but the leather-bound book is like on a pedestal in the middle. And it's glowing. And we walk up to it, and there are words on the front. The words read, "The Stories of Yeehaw." And it was gold lettering, and it was beautiful. So I decide to look at it after we stare at it in all for about 45 minutes. And Ted says, "Okay." And he was kind of a little bit skeptical. I don't know why. And as we opened the book, we felt a magical feeling around us, like a presence. And as we felt that feeling, we got pulled inside by a magical stinky fart. I was excited. I screamed in excitement, and Ted screamed in anger and fear. And all of a sudden, we dropped in a western village. And I was dressed as the sheriff. And Ted turned into a horse with 4 sexy horse legs. Freshly shaven and very feminine. Of course, I said, "Yeehaw, I'm the sheriff." And Ted was screaming, and he said, "I'm a horse." I hopped right on top of Ted, because he's a horse now, I have no experience of ever riding a horse, but I just hopped right on top of Ted. But anyways, I rode into the town, because there was like a western town. We were outside of the town. I rode into the town, and then I was stopped by this beautiful young woman. She came up to me and said, "Oh, Sheriff, this ugly old man stole my purse. He threatened to shoot me with a baseball gun." I said, "No worries, ma'am. With my confidence, I'll get your purse back." Then I saw the old man with the baseball gun. I squinted at him for a minute, and then I realized the old man was my father, Dinkin. I pulled out my baseball gun, and I said, "Stop right there." Dinkin said, "Never." And then Dinkin hopped on his donkey, who had the head of my uncle, Chinpo, and rode away. Chinpo screamed, "Dinkin, my back hurts!" And Dinkin said, "Shut up, you donkey." I hopped on my horse Ted, and I rode after him. Dinkin screamed, "You'll never catch me!" And then he jumped off of his donkey and onto a moving train. I didn't know what to do. Then Ted starts to transform. Ted transforms into a dragon. I don't know how he did that. And flies above the train. I screamed, "Ted!" He said, "Go get him, Billy." And he dropped me onto the train. I pulled out my lasso and chased after Dinkin. "What? How did you catch up to me?" is what Dinkin said when he saw my ugly face. Dinkin kept running, but I lassoed his afro hairdo and pulled him in. He screamed, "My hair!" And he sounded like he was in pain. I grabbed the purse and I gave it back to the young woman. "Oh, thank you, Sheriff." I was so happy when I heard those words. I said, "Yeehaw," and arrested Dinkin. And I said, "No problem," to the woman. Then the book came down from the sky and pulled me and Ted back into the book and took us back to the real world. When I arrived back in the real world, Ted was a fish again, and I was Billy and dressed normally again. I told Ted, "Let's go home," because we had a fun time, a fun adventure today. Ted said, "Okay." I was so excited to go home and tell my mother Pinkin and my father Dinkin about my adventure. I hope you guys enjoyed my story. This was my Yeehaw experience. Anyways, goodbye.